Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something real today. You don't owe the world a play-by-play on your progress. You don't need to explain your dreams to people who weren't even meant to understand them. You keep talking, keep explaining, and all you're doing is giving people the map to tear you down. Not everybody deserves a front row seat in your life. That's just the truth. We get so caught up in trying to bring everybody along with us, friends, family, people from the past. We forget that not everyone is meant to go where we're heading. Some folks were only supposed to be part of the opening act, not the main show. Yet here we are, dragging them into scenes they were never meant to play a role in. You waste so much energy trying to explain your vision to people who don't even have the lens to see it. You're trying to justify your hustle to folks who don't have the mindset, the ambition, or the drive to understand it. You're taking time out of your grind to get approval from people who are still stuck where you left them. That's not growth, that's delay. And life doesn't reward delays. It rewards focus, discipline, and the courage to keep moving forward, even when it means moving along. Let's be real. Some people don't cheer for you unless they're ahead of you. The moment you start rising, they get quiet. They don't clap when you win. They criticize. They don't ask how you're doing. They ask what you're doing, as if they're trying to measure whether you're still within reach. That's not support. That's surveillance. And the problem is you keep giving these people front row access. We're paying in our VIP passes to people who wouldn't even buy a ticket if your life was a show. When you keep people like that close, you start doubting yourself. You start shrinking your dreams to make them feel comfortable. You start playing small so they don't feel insecure. And before you know it, you're sitting in your own audience, watching your life go by, wondering why nothing's changing. It's because you're letting the wrong people sit too close. They're in your ear, in your space, in your spirit, and it's draining. You need to protect your peace like it's your paycheck, because if you don't, people will bankrupt your potential with their opinions, their doubt, and their energy. Sometimes the best thing you can do is move your circle back a few rows, not with hate, not with drama, just with boundaries. Love them from a distance. Support them without sacrificing yourself. And above all, stop explaining your journey to people who ain't even on the same road. Some people are walking, you're running. Some are stuck at the gas station asking for directions while you're already halfway to your destination. You can't wait for everybody to catch up. Your life, your calling, your purpose, it's too important. You weren't made to sit in the crowd. You were made to take the stage. And not everybody is meant to be close enough to feel the spotlight. Your growth doesn't need an audience. It doesn't need a stage, a spotlight, or a round of applause. Real growth, the kind that changes your life from the inside out, happens when no one is watching. It happens in the quiet, in the uncomfortable, in those long nights and early mornings where it's just you, your grind, and your grit. And the truth is, the more silent your progress, the louder your results will speak. See, we live in a world where everybody wants to post the process. They want to show every step, every move, every achievement like it's a highlight reel. But growth, real, lasting, meaningful growth, ain't pretty enough for a post. It's messy, it's lonely, it's painful. It's about falling on your face and getting back up without telling the world what happened. It's about keeping your head down and your faith up, even when it feels like nothing's changing. That's where the power lives. That's where you evolve. When you make your moves in silence, you take pressure off your progress. You stop living for approval. You stop trying to impress people who ain't invested in your journey. Because not everyone who's watching wants you to win. Some are watching just to see if you'll fall. And if you give them too much access, they'll speak doubt into your vision before it even has a chance to grow. That's why silence is not just a choice, it's a strategy. There's something powerful about not telling people what you're building, about letting your success introduce itself. Because when you stay quiet, you stay focused. You don't waste time explaining. You don't lose momentum defending your path. You just keep going, one step at a time, one silent victory after another. And before they even realize what's happening, you've leveled up in ways they never saw coming. It's not about hiding, it's about protecting. Protecting your energy, protecting your goals, protecting your peace. You don't owe the world a progress report every time you take a step forward. What you owe is to yourself to grow, to heal, to rise. Without distractions, without interruptions, without seeking validation. And you know you're doing it right when people start asking, when did you do all this? Because they didn't see it coming. They weren't supposed to. They were too busy watching the noise while you were busy becoming something real. Growth isn't a show, it's a process. One that deserves your full attention, not the world's commentary. The strongest trees don't grow overnight. They take time. They grow in silence. Their roots dig deep, unseen, untouched. And then one day they rise, unshakable, unstoppable. That's how you grow, quietly, patiently, powerfully. Energy is expensive. Spend it on you. Stop handing it out like it's free. Stop pouring your time, your attention, your love, your effort into people who keep showing you they don't know what to do with it. Some people don't want to grow. They just want to drain. They don't want to rise. They want to ride your wave until you're the one sinking. You keep showing up for them, being there, checking in, supporting them when they fall. But when it's your turn, silence, excuses, absence. You cannot keep feeding people who only show up to eat but never bring anything to the table. That's how you end up emotionally bankrupt, exhausted, depleted, wondering why you feel stuck. It's because you've been giving your best to people who couldn't even handle your worst. You've been loyal to people who treat your kindness like weakness. And while you're busy trying to carry them, your own dreams are sitting on the shelf collecting dust. There comes a point when you've got to draw the line. You've got to stop rescuing people who aren't trying to swim. You've got to stop explaining your value to folks who act like they're doing you a favor just by being in your life. Your energy is your currency. And if you're always spending it on people who leave you empty, don't be surprised when you've got nothing left for yourself. It's time to reroute that energy. Put it back into you. Focus on your healing. Focus on your growth. Focus on becoming the version of you that doesn't need to beg for love, beg for support, beg to be seen. When you start pouring that same love you give to everyone else into yourself, that's when everything changes. Your confidence comes back, your peace returns, your clarity sharpens, you start attracting different, you start being different. People will say you've changed, and they'll be right. Because you're no longer available for the same draining conversations. You're no longer accessible to the same people who treated your presence like an afterthought. You've upgraded, and with that upgrade comes boundaries. Not because you're bitter, but because you finally learned your worth. So guard your energy like your future depends on it, because it does. Use it to build. Use it to create. Use it to elevate. The right people won't drain it. They'll match it. They'll inspire you, challenge you, support you. But until you find those people, be okay with pouring into yourself. Be okay with walking alone if it means walking in peace. Be okay with stepping back so you can step up. Because your energy is too valuable to be wasted. Invest it where it grows. Invest it in you. Silence is a superpower. It's not weakness. It's not surrender. And it's definitely not fear. It's control. In a world where everyone's trying to be the loudest, the boldest, the most noticed, there's something powerful about the person who chooses not to speak, not to react, not to prove. That kind of quiet strength, it turns heads. It demands respect without ever having to ask for it. You don't always have to clap back. You don't have to respond to every insult, every rumor, every person trying to pull you into chaos. Not everything deserves your energy. Not everyone deserves your reaction. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stay still, stay silent, and let the noise echo into nothing. Because the truth is, People who are committed to misunderstanding you will twist your words, no matter how carefully you say them. So don't give them the satisfaction. Let them talk. Let them assume. Let them be loud. Meanwhile, you move different. You move in purpose. You move in peace. Quiet confidence speaks louder than noise. It walks into a room and doesn't need to announce itself. It's not looking for approval or validation. It just is. That kind of confidence isn't built on ego. It's built on knowing who you are, what you stand for, and what you're capable of. When you're really confident, you don't feel the need to constantly explain or defend. You just do the work. You just show up. You let your consistency and your results speak for you. Silence gives you the space to observe. It lets you see people's true colors. It reveals what's real and what's just noise. When you're not busy reacting, you can actually think, you can listen, you can learn, you gain clarity. You start realizing how much of your energy was wasted on things that didn't matter, arguments that went nowhere, battles that weren't yours to fight. Silence teaches you patience. It teaches you discernment. It sharpens your instincts. The person who knows how to stay quiet in a storm, that's a person you don't want to underestimate, because while others are shouting and swinging in every direction, the silent one is calculating, learning, preparing. They're not rattled. They're not easily provoked. They're grounded. And when they do speak, when they do act, it's with precision and purpose. Silence isn't the absence of power, it's the mastering of it. There's peace in silence. There's growth in silence. There's strength in holding your tongue, in choosing your battles, in refusing to give life to drama. And the most beautiful part, while people are busy wondering what you're thinking, what you're planning, what your next move is, you're already 2 steps ahead, because silence isn't empty. It's full of focus, full of vision, full of fire. The quiet ones, they're the ones building empires while the world is too busy talking to notice. They'll talk regardless. That's the truth. Whether you're winning, losing, starting, quitting, rising, or resting, someone somewhere will always have something to say. That's just how people are. Some talk because they're inspired. Others talk because they're envious. Or many talk because they have nothing better to do. But you've got to stop living for their noise. You've got to stop giving weight to opinions that don't build anything in your life. You can't please everybody. No matter how good you are, no matter how kind, how humble, how hardworking, there will always be someone who criticizes, doubts, questions, or disrespects you. And if you live your life trying to win their approval, you'll be stuck in a cycle that never ends. You'll twist yourself in every direction, trying to fit into their expectations. And in the process, you'll lose your own identity. You'll start shrinking your dreams just to avoid their judgment. You'll stay silent just to avoid their gossip. You'll settle just to avoid their criticism. And none of it will make them stop talking. What you have to understand is this: people project. They speak from their fears, their insecurities, their limitations. So when they say you can't, what they really mean is they couldn't. When they say you're doing too much, what they really mean is they didn't do enough. Their opinions are reflections of their mindset, not your potential. And you don't need to prove anything to people who wouldn't understand your purpose, even if you explained it to them word by word. So stop trying to please the crowd. Stop living for their claps. The same people cheering for you today might turn on you tomorrow. The same people who doubted you might act like they supported you all along. Crowds are fickle. People change, opinions shift, but your vision, your calling, that's yours. That's steady, that's personal. And that's what you need to be loyal to. You don't need the world to understand your journey. It wasn't given to them, it was given to you. Walk your path without permission. Dream your dreams without apology. Build your life without waiting for applause. Let them talk, let them wonder, let them assume. You don't need to argue, defend, or explain. Just keep showing up. Keep doing the work. Keep becoming who you were meant to be. Because when it's all said and done, they'll talk regardless. So make sure what they're talking about is how you never stopped, how you never folded, how you kept going in spite of it all. Let them talk about your courage, your growth, your persistence. Not because you told them, because you showed them. Not because you clapped back, because you moved forward. The crowd doesn't get a vote in your future, only you do. So make it count. Elevation requires isolation. That's the part they don't tell you. Everybody talks about success like it's glamorous, like it's some kind of red carpet moment with bright lights and celebration. But what they don't show you is the process. The quiet, the lonely, the uncomfortable, in between, where the real transformation happens. The next version of you isn't built in front of a crowd. It's built in silence and solitude in spaces where nobody claps and nobody sees the work you're putting in. Sometimes you've got to pull back to pull ahead. You've got to unplug from the noise, distance yourself from distractions, and detach from people who don't feed your spirit. That doesn't mean you're bitter. It doesn't mean you're cutting people off to be cold. It means you're focused. It means you're choosing to grow. Because you can't elevate if you keep holding on to what's keeping you grounded. And sometimes the things keeping you grounded are the very people, places, and habits that feel the most familiar. But comfort doesn't build greatness. Isolation does. In that quiet space, you learn things about yourself. You face the truth without filters. You start identifying the patterns, the weaknesses, the cycles that have held you back. And more importantly, you start building the discipline, the mindset, and the resilience that the next level of your life will demand. While everybody else is distracted, scrolling, comparing, chasing validation, you're in the lab, working, building, growing, creating. You're not concerned with likes or applause because you got vision, you got purpose, you got tunnel vision on who you're becoming. And yes, isolation can feel lonely at times. You'll wonder if you're missing out. You'll question if the silence is worth it. You'll see others celebrating temporary wins and feel like you're behind. But what they're building is loud and quick. What you're building is quiet and permanent. And there's a difference. While they're gaining attention, you're gaining foundation. While they are entertaining, you're evolving. Isolation strips away distractions and forces you to confront your calling. It puts you in a space where there's no one to blame, no one to impress, no one to perform for, just you and your potential. And that's where real elevation begins. Because before you can show up for the world, you have to show up for yourself. You have to heal, to break, to rebuild, to stretch, to grow. And those aren't things you can do when you're constantly surrounded by noise. When you finally re-emerge, you're different, stronger, sharper, clearer. People will notice the change, but they won't understand the cost. They won't know what you sacrificed, what you walked away from, what you had to lose to gain this version of you, and they don't need to. Because elevation isn't about being seen, it's about becoming. And becoming takes time. Becoming takes silence. Becoming takes isolation.